Welcome to our discussion on who joins interest groups and why. People are not all equally likely to join or form interest groups, and this reality has serious consequences for the ability of interest groups to present everyone's views. Political scientists agree that income and education tend to be the best predictors of interest group membership. That said, enormous diversity exists in the types of people who choose to join or form interest groups. Let's look at patterns of membership. Interest group participation is related to three demographic characteristics: income, social class, and education. People with higher incomes are more likely to participate in interest groups than those with lower incomes. Also, many surveys show that those who identify themselves as upper middle class or middle class are more likely to join interest groups than those who self-identify as lower middle or working class. Similarly, higher education levels are a strong predictor of interest group participation. But interest group participation also frequently reflects one's occupation. People tend to belong to associations related to their work. Interest group participation based on occupation. There are several reasons for interest group membership patterns, some of which, as we shall see, are interconnected. For example, people with higher incomes have more disposable income to spend on membership dues for organizations. They are also likely to have occupations in which interest group activity is useful, or even required, as in some professional fields such as the law. Doctors and lawyers, for example, are likely to be members of professional associations such as the American Medical Association and the American Bar Association. These organizations give incentives for membership, such as accreditation of qualified professionals. They also confer benefits by providing various service to members and by attempting to influence government policy on members' behalf. The AMA, or American Medical Association, accredits qualified physicians, promotes opportunities for continuing education to members, and lobbies the government on policy issues related to health care. For example, during the debate over the 2010 health care reform legislation, the AMA sponsored television ads opposing a 21% cut in Medicare payments to physicians and urged viewers to call their senator asking them to fix the Medicare access problem. Workers such as teachers and tradespeople are likely to belong to labor unions. Many labor unions are influential in local politics, generating grassroots support for candidates through their membership base. A few of the national labor unions, especially the National Association for the National Education Association, or NEA, the largest teachers union in the country, and the American Federation of Labor Congress of Industrial Organizations, or AFL-CIO, an organization of many different labor unions, are strongly influential in national politics. Executives in business and industry are likely to be members of industry-specific and general business organizations that advocate on behalf of their members. All of these professional associations, labor unions, and business organizations are types of interest groups. Interest group participation and social class. Differentiating the influence of income from that of class can be difficult when examining the impact of social class on the likelihood of joining an interest group. But in general, people who identify themselves as working class are less likely to have been socialized to participate in interest groups, with the important exception of labor unions, which historically have been most likely to organize working class occupations. As something that we will consider, and have considered in previous chapters, an important predictor of political participation, and interest group participation specifically, is whether a person learns to take part and join from a young age. If your mother participated in your town's historical preservation society, and your father attended meetings of the local Amnesty International chapter, you are likely to view those behaviors as what people do, and do them yourself. If you come from a working class family, you are generally less likely to see your parents engage in these participatory behaviors, rendering you similarly less likely to participate. Although scholars trace much of the lack of participation of working class people to how they are socialized, the overlapping occurrence of working class status and lower income is also a factor. That is, working class people are likely to have lower incomes and less job security than their middle class counterparts. Thus, they may not be able to afford membership dues and contributions to interest groups, or may not have access to childcare that would allow them to attend meetings. Their lower likelihood of owning a computer limits their chances of taking an active role in internet-based groups, or they may simply lack the leisure time to participate. Interest groups, participation, and education. Educational attainment also has a strong impact on whether a person will join an interest group. One recent study surveyed 19 to 23-year-olds and found that those who were college students were more than twice as likely to join a politically motivated interest group as their age group peers who did not attend college. Individuals with higher education levels are more likely to be informed about issues and more willing to invest the time and energy in joining an interest group that represents their views. They may also be more likely to understand how important interest groups are in shaping public policy. College students are among the most avid participants in internet-based activist groups, but belonging to these groups varies a great deal, not unlike the situation in real-world interest groups. A member of an internet-based interest group may play a highly active role, communicating with other members regularly, attending rallies and other campus events, and taking concrete actions such as signing an internet petition and participating in a protest. Or members may be more passive. They may limit their activity to reading the regular emails from the group that inform them of issues and events and may only occasionally participate. Or they may be members of a group in name only. But this phenomena is not unique to internet-based groups. Many interest groups are dominated by a cadre of committed activists supported by sometimes activists, and nearly every group has a contingent of members who sign up mainly for a free t-shirt, tote bag, or umbrella. Motivations for joining interest group. Some people may join an interest group for the benefits they gain. Others may gravitate to a group sponsoring a particular cause. Still others may become members of a group for the simple reason that they want to meet new people. Recognizing that individuals have various motivations for joining interest groups typically provides a menu of incentives for memberships. Let's talk about solidary incentives. Some people join interest groups because they offer solidary incentives, the feeling of belonging, companionship, friendship, and the satisfaction derived from socializing with others. Solidary incentives are closely linked to Robert Putnam's idea of social capital. Both solidary incentives and social capital are related to the psychological satisfaction derived from civic participation. For example, a person might join the Sierra Club because she wants to participate in activities with other people who enjoy hiking or care deeply about wilderness protection. Your uncle might join the National Rifle Association because he likes to compete in shooting contests and wants to get to know others who do the same. Purposive incentives. People also join interest groups because of purposive incentives. That is, because they believe in the group's cause from an ideological or moral standpoint. Interest groups pave the way for people to take action with like-minded people. And so you might join People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, because you strongly object to animal abuse and want to work with others to prevent cruelty to animals. A friend who is passionately pro-life might join the National Right to Life Committee, whereas your pro-choice cousin might join the NARAL, which is Pro-Choice American, formerly the National Abortion Reproductive Rights Action League. The internet is a particularly effective forum for attracting membership through purposive incentives. Accessible any place and any time, the internet provides resources for you to join an interest group even during a bout of insomnia at 3 a.m. Suppose a conversation earlier in the day got you thinking anew about the brutal genocidal conflict in Darfur. In those dark pre-dawn hours, you can Google Save Darfur and within seconds have a variety of access points for becoming civically engaged by participating in an interest group. Some interest groups may ask you to contribute money. Others may urge you to sign an online petition or to call the White House to make your opinions known. You may follow other interest groups on Twitter, enabling you to learn about demonstrations sponsored by other groups right on your college campus and in your community. You may even find out about state and national demonstrations. The media contacts provided by online interest groups make it easier for you to write a letter to an editor, attempting to convince others of your views. Just learning about the wide variety of activities available can make you feel that you are doing something about a cause you believe in. Economic incentives. Many people join interest groups because of material or economic incentives. That is, they want to support groups that work for policies that will provide them with economic benefits. For example, the National Association of Police Organizations lobbies Congress concerning many appropriations measures that could affect its membership, including bills that would provide or increase funding for community-oriented police services, or COPS, program, bulletproof vests, and overtime pay for first responders to disasters. Nearly all corporate and labor interest groups offer economic incentive to their members. They sometimes do so by advocating for policies that support business or labor in general, such as policies focused on the minimum wage, regulations concerning workplace conditions, and laws governing family leave or health care. Other interest groups offer smaller-scale economic benefits to members. Many Americans over age 50 join the Americans Association of Retired People, or AARP, because of the discounts members receive on hotels, airfares, and car rentals. Other organizations provide discounts on health insurance, special deals for merchants, or low-interest credit cards. Most people join and remain in interest groups for a combination of reasons. A person may initially join an interest group for purposive incentives and then realize some solidarity benefits and remain in the group because of the friendships formed. Or someone may join a professional association for the economic benefits but then develop rewarding social networks. Many individuals who join and stay in interest groups do so because of overlapping incentives. How interest groups succeed. Given that interest groups attempt to influence all kinds of policies, why are some interest groups better at getting what they want than others? Political scientists agree on various factors that influence whether an interest group will succeed. These factors include the interest group's organizational resources, the tools it has at its disposal to help achieve its goals, and its organizational environment, the setting in which it attempts to achieve those goals. Organizational resources. The effectiveness of interest groups in influencing government policy often depends on the resources they use to sway policymakers. Interest groups rely on two key types of resource membership: the people who belong to a given group, the financial resources, and the money the group can spend to exert influence. How membership affects success. A large membership enhances an interest group's influence because policymakers are more likely to take note of the group's position. The age-old concept of strength in numbers applies when it comes to interest groups. The sheer number of a group's membership is often an important factor in forcing policymakers, the media, and the public to pay attention to an issue. Among the largest U.S. interest groups is AARP, which boasts a membership of more than 35 million people. This vast size gives the organization incredible clout and historically has made policymakers unwilling to take any issue that would unleash the wrath of AARP's formidable membership. For example, for years many economic analysts have suggested increasing the age at which people become eligible to receive Social Security. They reason that the average lifespan has risen significantly since the eligibility age was set, and that people are working longer because they remain healthier longer. But this potential policy solution has long simmered on the back burner. The reason? Politicians in Congress and the White House have not wanted to incur the disapproval of the AARP's members, who would widely oppose increasing the eligibility age and might respond by voting unsympathetic officials out of office. While he was Speaker of the House of Representatives, Dennis Hastert, a Republican from Illinois, remarked that he took the AARP very seriously, as had Newt Gingrich when he was Speaker before, and that Republicans had been courting AARP for some time, listening to them, engaging in a give-and-take dialogue that none of the Capitol's pundits even suspected was going on. But size is not the only important aspect of an interest group's memberships. The cohesion of a group, or how strongly unified it is, also matters to participants and to policymakers. For example, the Human Rights Campaign, or HRC, lobbies for federal legislation to end discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and provides research to elected officials and policymakers on issues of importance to people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgendered. The HRC has a membership of about 600,000, but because the organization limits its advocacy to issues affecting gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered people, it is an extremely cohesive association. Another significant aspect of an interest group's membership is its intensity. Intensity is a measure of how strongly members feel about the issues they are targeting. Certain kinds of organizations, including pro-life interest groups such as the National Right to Life Committee, environmental groups such as the Sierra Club and Greenpeace, and animal rights such as PETA, are known for sustaining high levels of intensity. These organizations are more adept at attracting new members and younger members than are older, more entrenched kinds of groups. These newer, youthful members are a significant force behind the persistence and intensity of these groups. The demographics of a group membership also may increase its success. Members who know policymakers personally and have access to them mean greater influence for the group. Other demographic attributes also matter. Members who are well-educated, geographically dispersed because they can influence a broader network of policymakers than a geographically consolidated membership, or affluent tend to have more influence. Policymakers perceive these attributes as important because the group's membership is more likely to lobby and to contribute financial resources on behalf of the organization's cause.